What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. I usually don't go this late, but I am tonight because this has been on my mind. I've been watching several shows in my hiatus while I was gone and also while I was on break, visiting family and checking on family property, that people don't know what real income is. They don't know real numbers. And why do I say that? They don't know real numbers. Unfortunately, I buried my cousin this weekend and he had a business. And even though we were like distraught, upset, the first thing on our mind was, oh my God, his staff. We have to figure out what to do with his employees. We're going to, we actually voted and said, we're going to give this one particular employee all the cleaning supplies, all the equipment, all the contacts, all the numbers. Just give it to him because he was always the most loyal. He was the most loyal employee my cousin had, and he had been with him the longest. And so in those conversations, I remember talking to someone and they were like, man, your cousin had a business and he had employees for 15 years and he did this and did that. And I kept trying to talk to people and realize I keep saying to you, I'm from a family of business owners. I'm from a family of cops and farmers, and we invest our money and I don't think people understand it. It isn't real to them. And in the moment, even though my family's like, who cares? Just give them everything, give them all the computer access and all the contacts. I was like, there's a process to everything. We have to kind of inform his clients. He's passed. And it was very surprising, and it wasn't because of COVID. It was actually the fault of COVID and might have been, but another issue for another day. Um, Hospitals. So part of why I want to bring this up is people don't know real numbers, right? And when we brought up numbers about, and I'm just going to have to say it, this whole thing going on, when I start pointing people to map porn, really it's called porn. When I direct people to static sites, it's a STAST, and I'll look it up. Stats, it's site. When I start leading them to different websites that will show you the numbers of what I'm talking about, people are like, oh man, Eric, I'm trying to see that. But that's the real numbers. You need to see that. You need to understand if what you're dealing with is real or not real, if the level of fear you're experiencing is appropriate. And so even in my community section, people are, bashing me, and I laugh a little bit because I go, I can tell you're not looking at the real numbers. You're not seeing different cities and you're not traveling. So part of why I'm doing this one is there was a comment section in one of the videos, and this guy said, I don't understand all this attraction to mobile homes, all this attraction to RV living and tiny home living. And I really had to tell him, I said, there's going to be a segment of our population, which if you've seen me talk about this the past 2 years, there's a segment of our population that's going to do this, go up in lifestyle, and there's a segment of our population that's going to go down in lifestyle. Now, this people will say, oh my God, look at all the people that are so poor. And what I want them to say is pay attention to who's rising. That's, pay attention. Now, my uncle used to joke, he didn't, and not the person who passed away. This was a different uncle, but that was my cousin. He's just older. He joked that he didn't want to deal with people who wanted $450 rent because they'll go around chasing $450 rent their whole life instead of make more money. And I remember this as a 15-year-old girl, hearing this and thinking, man, Section 8's a bad thing. And it's not that Section 8 is a bad thing. Again, all these people complaining about their landlords. Hey, guess what? You don't have to live under a roof of a landlord. You can go live where the state has housing. State has housing. You can live there. I thought it was a terrible thing, right? And what I learned through the process is it handicaps and it helps. It gets you locked into this price range where it's helping me. It's helping me. I have these young children. I've even seen women who here in Texas, who all the kids, all her kids are going to college, and she's like, I'm going to help them. And we were in office thinking, oh my God, what is she going to do for them? And she signed them up for food stamps. She signed up her 3 students who had full, sorry, I'm going to get a long today, had a long day, full scholarships because they were so brilliant, to food stamps. That's all she could do for them. That's all she could think of doing. She said, well, they can get food stamps while they're there. And I remember her son saying, Mom, they're giving us a free ride. We're going to school for free. We have free housing and we have free this and this card. And it's going to be our meals are going to be on this. And her not getting it. Her not getting it. Just seeing it in her face like, oh, well, but I helped them. I got them some food stamps. And this is not to make fun of food stamps or low income people. I am just bracing myself for what I know is coming. And I've been talking about it for 2 years on this channel. If you're a person who is in your mind determined to rise right now, you will rise. And I will definitely be talking more deeply about this in the Rise of 20% class. I'm seeing the massive level of rising that's going to happen. And what do I mean by this? You have a population of people who start to realize that, man, I make a lot of money. What should I do with this money? Where should this money go? And how can I be a good steward of it? Now, prime example, when I talk about real estate and land, I've been going on Facebook Marketplace every day. I have a staff member that's their job. They're looking and hunting for us deals on land and trailers. I mean, this isn't a secret, what I'm doing here in Central Texas. And the reason why is every day I'm on there and I see people literally leveling some land. And they're literally, making rows for RVs or making rows for mobile homes. And they're like $450 rent. And I said, I saw that and I go, someone's going to come here and move a brand new trailer onto this land just so they can get the $450 rent. Now I know you think, oh, Erica, why you keep talking about this? I want you to understand that number. I want you to understand that, most people's housing is 50% or less. It's supposed to be 30%, but a lot of people's are 50% or less of what they make. So if someone's struggling financially and they're making $1,600 or $2,000 a month, and their girlfriend's pregnant and they got a kid and they're going, hey, you're gonna have to stay home because we can't afford daycare and really can't afford to get a second car and to do this or pay for that. That's a perfect number for them. And I've seen it. And part of why I'm bringing this up is what I'm seeing right now on the internet is people want to be needed, heard, and loved. Now, there's a lot of people going to say, well, Erica, I'm going to bring it up once. And if there's a reason I'm bringing it up, I'm bringing it in a circle. The MGTOW community and also the push I'm seeing on the other side of women who are kind of doing this return to femininity. Let me put it nicely. And why am I doing that? Because what I saw over the past 2 years is there's going to be this push of people who want to be heard, who want to feel needed, who want to be respected, right? Who want to be loved. And even though you see a lot of this internet, what you're going to see out in the community and society is people kind of pushing towards a certain narrative. Prime example, you see Cardi B, you see the Beyoncés, you see the, over the top kind of feminine displays of sexuality. But now you're starting to see the Tabitha Browns, the warm, loving, kind mother, natural hair kind of movement. Natural hair kind of movement. You're seeing the vegetarian movement, the vegan movement. It's kind of this move to kind of be more in tune with your own natural body. And as I told you guys, if you started watching that, as you soften, alpha, feminine and masculine energies come together, right? As you soften or as you start writing out a plan for your life, you start to figure out what? Money. Okay? Now, why am I bringing up money? You're like, oh man, get to the point, Erica. And I get it. I know, right? I get it. But why is it important? Because when you know your numbers, you don't have to get trapped. Now, what do I mean? I don't mean trapped by some man. I don't mean trapped by some woman. When you start knowing your numbers, there's power in that. There's a respectability in that. When you start realizing, hey, 75 million Americans make $3,000 a month. I'm sitting over here, I'm just giving examples, making 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, 10K a month. I'm a outlier, or I'm in the top 20% kind of things. be careful. What you'll notice about a majority of women, whether I look at all the stats, working or married, single or married, they're making 30K to 40K a year. Why am I bringing that up? When you realize that level of money you're making, and you realize the lifestyle that's being promoted in that natural hair movement, that stay-at-home mom movement, which, let's be really honest, a huge number of women are going to return to, financially reasons and also just life as people get older. Okay. What's going to happen is, what you're going to see is, when you start doing the math, okay, I got a yoga class, okay, I've got kids soccer, okay, I got my instructor, my personal trainer comes to work out me, and I got to cook dinner. Because I've watched all these great vegan shows, and I've watched all these great how to cook homes, how to do different things, how to take care of myself, how to be more in tune. Okay, now I got a journal. Do you see how your day gets full there? Now, I may be losing some of y'all on this, and I'm okay with that. I was going to do a whole, video slide of showing you the women I hang around. The conversation to me is, Erica, when are you going to hire more people so you can focus on getting married and having children? And many people that I've talked to, unfortunately, they go, oh, that's offensive, Erica. That's offensive. And I go, no. Certain levels in certain communities, that is the focus, right? Because that's how safety and security works. Does that make sense? Now, that loops me back over to men, right? Now, people say, oh my God, this recession are going to have so many men out of work. Listen to me. If you think on it long and hard, the average man, if he had to, is going to do what? He's going to do physical labor with his what? Hands. He's going to do what? Join the military. I'm seeing high numbers of young men that I've never even, I'm joining the military. I'm out of here. I'm hearing high numbers of people saying, I'm going into cybersecurity, or I'm going to go overseas where it's cheap. You're hearing this because people are now starting to grasp how much things cost. What does it truly mean to be wealthy in America? And really, the true definition of wealthy in America is time freedom and consistent income. I know you're like, wait a minute, Erica, but listen, time freedom and consistency in America. Now, why am I bringing this all up? If you Google this, and you don't believe me, I know a lot of you don't, but you can go look this up. Women, the more hours women work a week, the more masculine, the more testosterone they have in their bodies, the more exhausted they are. And high numbers of women at young 30s and 29 to 32 are having strokes and heart attacks and being put on high blood pressure medicine. This isn't just Black. This is white, Asian, you name it. Many of my Asian friends, and you guys know I have a ton of Korean friends. You probably could peep that on Instagram. You can see that in my birthday parties. You can see that at my events when I go to, because I'm a military kid and who I'm around, engineers. A lot of them work and then get about 32 and go, I'm done. I'm taking a 6-month sabbatical. Why? I've saved all my money. I've a ton of my money, right? Or I still have student loan debt, but I have saved enough so I can take 6 months off. A lot of these companies in Austin and other tech cities are giving these people time off. Why? Because they know they will quit. Have you ever met a nurse who makes good money? If they piss her off at that hospital, she will quit. You ever seen a nurse making $92,000 a year? They will quit in a heartbeat. You ever seen a trucker making $100,000+ a year? They will quit. They don't have to put up with it. Why? Because they know their skill is valuable, right? They know their time is valuable, and they can quit. Now, part of why I'm bringing this to you guys tonight, it's late, and maybe not that many people watch this. Most people watch it tomorrow, and that's okay. As I'm out here doing business with people, people are like, man, maybe, are you tough? Are you a tough girl? And are you going to be breaking balls here with your business? And I go, no, I have a manager for that. I have a mechanic for that. Oftentimes the drivers rather speak to me than the mechanic because they know they're not going to put up with their crap. You have to work in your lane. And that's whether that's feminine energy or masculine energy. And you have to determine, where do you want to be? And how do I know that's where I want to be? I've made the numbers and the charts and where I'm going home. When I saw this TV where these kids are separated and spaced out and looking depressed, and we already have high numbers of kids unfortunately committing suicide, do you think these moms are sending their kids back to be more depressed so she can have a wine break? Listen, you're going to see the divide of who's a stay-at-home mom by choice and a stay-at-home mom because they were forced to. What you'll see, what you'll see is a lot of these women embracing this, right? Embracing this, pushing classes, teaching courses. I remember I talked to this couple a couple years ago, and I really was trying to express to the woman, listen, put these classes together because mothers need this. They need this math training for their kids because they want to stay home, but they don't want to feel like they're not helping their kids get better, helping their kids progress. Does that make sense? Okay. And this woman said, oh, no, I don't feel like it. 2 years later, another one of her friends did it, a math teacher, and has made $1 million by just selling literally notebooks and things to help parents with math, because the demand is there. The demand is there. The past 10 years, over the past decade, essentially, stay-at-home moms went up 13%. Now you may say, well, what's 13%, Erica? That's millions. It's almost millions of women. Okay. Why am I talking about this tonight? And why am I bringing it up on the channel? As I was on Facebook Marketplace and people were saying, oh, I'm waiting for the bloodbath. I'm waiting for the blood in the streets to start investing. I laugh because investing is like jump roping, right? People are like waiting to get in. They're waiting to get in. They're like, I'm going to double dutch, but I'm going to wait to get in. And what happens is when you keep waiting to jump in, you don't. And I've seen many people for year after year after year after year telling me, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to jump in. And they never do. I've seen it on multiple channels where people keep talking about how they're going to do something and they never do it. It's exhausting to watch, much less see. Now, part of what's holding a lot of these people back is community. It's not just money, it's community. What a lot of people weren't taught is when you got to college, you joined events, you joined organizations, you joined a sorority or a fraternity. You joined in with groups, not to be a group think or not a leader or you're not a follower, but to establish community. I can show you right now several friends who are in parenting communities, newlywed communities, people who've been married and their kids are all over 10 communities. And those people are going through life together, encouraging each other. It is very dangerous to be the only married couple in a sea of single friends. It doesn't mesh well, right? Same thing happens when it comes to investors and business owners. You start meshing with people in your own clique, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Any given day of the week, I can probably call about 25 other business owners I know and literally chat and vent with them. Just vent. And I get it, girl, yeah, and they vent back too, and it goes back and forth. Why? Because we're in the jump roping. We're both actually double dutching. We're actually in the game. We're not just spectators. We're actually in the game. Right? And I'm asking you, I'm imploring you to get in the game. What is the game? The game is actually community and business, because that is where it's been leaning for years, right? This guy put a post that America runs on business. It tolerates everybody else. And unfortunately, that I felt was very true. There's a sea of motion, right? Many people say, well, Eric, I don't want to be a business owner. It's lonely. As someone said in the chat, it's a lonely road. But that shows me you're not willing to move yourself to the right room. If you saw me travel all last year, it wasn't just for the sake of going to these conferences and hearing information. I've heard a lot of that information before. It was the connections and the relationships and the friendships. There are friendships I have with business owners. We can drop of a dime, go fly and see each other and go connect and spend time together. And yes, if need be, make business moves together. And whenever you get outside of that networking circle, you seem to be tired. A lot of people say, "Oh man, I'm so tired." Because you're trying to convince your family, you're trying to convince your friends, you're trying to convince people you don't even know in the street about who you are. Today I had the landlord come by the office because we had a problem with the water. And we had a problem with we're getting ready to cut through a wall and go through the second office. Guess I know I have a second office, two offices together. And as I'm looking at him, this guy and me, probably the same age. He's young, he's early 30s. We're both laughing about the fact that we're young and really getting after it. And he somehow managed to get a construction loan that allowed him to build 20 units. He only got 8. Until he gets these 8 full, it's going to be a problem. Now, why am I bringing this up? As we're chatting, eye level, right? Some people might have been like, "Oh my God, my landlord's here." I was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Business owner. And as I was talking to him, what I realized is he couldn't give me a discount on the second building. And I was mad for a second, but then I realized, you know why he can't give me a discount on the second building? He needs the paperwork to look a certain way. This is happening in commercial properties. This is happening in residential real estate. This is happening in apartments. I worked in apartment management for many years. So when I tell you, and I don't mean any disrespect, but I tell you, they are not lowering the rents. They will sit with empty apartments for months. I showed a video last week when I was downtown, the Airbnb, on the luxury Airbnb, of empty units facing the lake in Austin, where there were over 100 units in one building and over 100 units in the building I was in. They rather have empty buildings than let Pookie and Ray Ray come in there. They rather have empty buildings than let meth heads come in there. They rather have empty buildings and can write all kind of tax incentives and tax breaks and deductions than let people in there and lower the rents. What they will do is, and I will tell you this, as soon as the thing happened with Corona, I was getting ready to move out of my place. They said, "Hey man, listen, we'll give you an 18-month lease." And I was like, oh, I'm not interested. Listen, we'll give you 4 months free if you sign an 18-month lease. Now, immediately I did the math. You're going to give me essentially 14 months lease and I get 4 of them free? That's crazy. I get 4 months of free rent? What did that do for that company? And I'm going to explain it. If they gave me an 18-month lease, they could show the banks, they can show businesses, they can show on their books their projected income for the next 18 months. See, a lot of people will tell you they're going to totally drop the rents. They're not, because they don't have to. They're going to play a game. Thank you, Rod, for real estate. Rod for real estate. Occupancy rates. That's right. So again, same thing with the commercial building. When he said that, he literally looked in my eyes like, I can't give you a discount, but I will give you 2 months free rent on this building. And I looked at him. I said, okay, thanks. I understood immediately what he was doing. He has to show the bank that, hey, all these buildings are occupied at top rent. So give me the rest of the money to finish the construction to build the other units. I know the game. Why do I know the game? Because I live in that world. Because I hang around those people. Because I invest with those people. Because I eat dinner with those people. I go to banquets with those people. I go to the gun range. I go to golfing events with those people. And it's not a bragging moment. It's a serious moment of like, look, it's just a paperwork game. Right? It's just a paperwork game. Now, why did I bring that up? I brought that up because so many people were saying, hey, can't wait for these houses to get cheaper. I can't wait. No, it's not happening like that. Again, I'm in Austin, Texas, and you would say, Erica, that's a unique city. Listen, as the price lower, and I'll tell you right now, my house is $250K. This is not a shock. You can look this up. You can Google this. This is public information. I'm not worried about you looking me up. The house I want next is a mill, right? If I go buy one right now, it's a mill. So I'm just watching it. It's in my search link. I'm waiting for it to come down to 800,000. But guess what? Every time it moves an inch, whoop, the next person hops on it. Why? Because they've been waiting on it. There is a sea of people that will rise. There's a sea of people that are pushing up because they now it'll be cheaper. I can push up and it'll be cheaper, even better. And that's what people don't understand. Now, I'm going to give you some simple numbers here because, again, when we talk about math, I know people are like, oh, come on, Eric, give me the numbers. All right. We're 30 minutes in. You're right. Let me give you some numbers. 75 million Americans make $30,000 a year. That means $2,500 a month. Okay? Now, 2.9% of earners earn $250,000 a year. Again, let me hear that again. 2.9% of earners. It's small. It's very tiny, right? Now, there's going to be people say, man, I know all these men making all these money. They're ballers everywhere. They're actually not. They're not ballers everywhere. It's really not true. Okay? Now, you can go look this up for yourself. And I try to provide articles and quotes because some of you are like, oh, Eric, I don't, you just made that up. You pulled it out your butt or something crazy, right? So look, Sam Doggin, it's an article about middle class life costs $300,000 a year. You can find the article on April 27th, 2018. It's a very famous article. The article essentially lays out the middle class loss costs $300,000 a year. Now, many people said, well, please, I live in New York. That's no money, right? That's immediately what the article, it's famous because people in New York and California were like, that's no money. But of course, people in Florida, Texas, Alabama, Birmingham, all these different places, it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. Now, why did they say it was $300,000? Again, if I start listing off your wife weekly, gets massages weekly, gets a pedicure or manicure weekly, does these different things, and they're not exactly cheap. Kids have traveling sports teams. You're in a golf club. You're in an association. You're an alumni. And just for the record, we're going to have a football season. And I know you guys can come to the channel. This is May 14th, 2020. Erica Williams said that we're going to have a football season. Now, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to make a note. But private school, exactly, private school. I know a family right now, the husband had to take a pay cut, the Rona. And the school said, listen, your wife can come volunteer up here for 20 hours a week and we'll discount your kid's school X amount of dollars. Guess what the wife is doing for the fall? Volunteering. When I volunteered with United Way and other organizations, Urban League, all this stuff, who was actually volunteering? I want to make this very clear because a lot of people think, oh man, when I get more time, when I get more freedom, I'm going to volunteer, Erica. I sure am. I'm totally going to do it. You know who volunteers? The wealthy. You know who volunteers? People with a lot of free time. You know who volunteers? People with an abundance mindset. Now, many people say, Erica, here you go with this again. But I will tell you, every time I volunteer, every single person I run into is a business owner. They're kids of wealthy people who parents force them down there so they can get a sense of interacting with the public. Every year, our mom and all our family would go down and we would feed on Thanksgiving the homeless at the Salvation Army. We'd have to go do a shift. And we'd be like, why we got to do this? And our family would be like, we're going to do it because our family's going to do it. Part of why I'm saying that middle class lifestyle costs so much is it because it's not just that. It's not just the things the mom wants to do. It is that also that additional neighborhood costs, the taxes, where they live. What I notice right now in this time, there's a lot of houses for sale. So I start looking at these houses for sale and looking around and being nosy. And I said, what's going on? Every house I saw in a particular neighborhood, let's just be honest, these are $500,000 homes. I was looking over there. I was debating it. They all had an office. Every single one of them. Without a shadow of a doubt, they all had an office. Every single one. 2 computers, 1 computer, 2 computers, 3 computers. I mean, literally, every single one of them. That's an office. Those neighborhoods had men who could what? Work from home. It could be mom too, but most of them had men who could work from home. Right? Why am I'm trying to lead it somewhere, but be careful. Why do I believe we're going to have football in the fall? Is because some of the biggest lobbyists, some of the most billionaires in this country are heavily invested in the states of Florida, Texas, and North Carolinas. Why am I bringing that up? Because here's what's going to happen. Even if you have to have every single football game this fall in Florida or in Southern California, it will happen. Even if you have to have football every single game they can make in America be in Texas or Alabama or somewhere where it's warm, it will happen. Why? Because it is a money play. This is a $1 billion industry. Again, same thing with trucks. When people try to browbeat me about trucks and I'm in the actual industry, I laugh a little bit. But every single money trail that you follow for trucking and every single money trail you follow for football leads to Congress, leads to Senate. It's just too much money on the table for them to not. I'm even seeing Shopify sites and schools start to rev up the fall gear. Already starting to rev up the fall gear. And I laugh because I say, oh, they're ready. They're ready. They're going to figure out how many people want to stay home. Okay, all right. How many people will come out? We're just the way they do this in North Carolina. We're going to use this stadium because this many people are going to come out. We're going to use that stadium because this many people come out. I mean, East Carolina even got one of its games bumped to a weird Thursday because they've realized NC State and some other schools are going to play a different day. So they said, sorry, ECU, you're going to play on a Thursday because a bigger, more important school is coming. This happens. This is an industry with way too much money. So now, again, this is May 14th. If football magically gets canceled, I would be amazingly surprised because there's just so much level of push in Congress. There's so much level of push of billionaires. When you think about billionaires in the oil industry and gas, oh no, think about the billionaires who make money off these kids and these sports and the tailgating and the stadiums and the loans these schools. I mean, if you actually look at the money that colleges actually make, a bulk of it is in sports. Lee, I was going to respond to this. Do you consider those people friends or associates? You have to put people in certain categories, and this isn't a disrespectful thing. There are people who, if I'm sharing life with, what do I mean sharing life with? I'm weekly eating dinner with, I'm doing Bible study with, I'm sharing my hard times, I'm sharing death, I'm sharing, I called probably about 15 people out of those 20 business friends I was telling you about and told them my cousin had died and I was having a rough week because I realized I had really heavily scheduled last week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday. I had phone calls, consulting calls, I had YouTube shows, I had classes to teach. And I expressed to those people like how sad I was and how amazingly heavy it was to even do any of the classes last week. I expressed that to them because we're friends. Not just associates, we're friends. People that were associates found out later when I was flying on Friday, really Saturday morning. Those people are associates, right? Associates are people you do a quarter, I would say quarterly dinners with, right? People you once a month you may see them or less, right? And a lot of people may have different definitions for friends, but associates are people that are in the looser circle. If you get married next Thursday in a surprise small gathering wedding, it's probably just gonna be your friends. It's not gonna be your associates. And I can tell you right now, if you gave me a sheet of paper, who's going to come to my wedding if I threw something on a Thursday next week? I already know. I can tell you right now who's going to come. That's the difference. Thank you, Loyal Credit Solutions. Willie Market, hold me to it. I will say what you'll probably see in the stands. You ever seen the band when they play in a certain section far off? I think you're going to see some of that. Combination of that, and you're going to see a combination of schools, excuse me, allowing a lot of tailgating just to make money. Because again, schools charge for a lot of those private tailgating spaces. That's right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't believe so, but again, we're very segmented in America. There are parts of our country that probably feel like they're already in the Great Depression. And here's what I mean. There are parts of our country where, remember, they were saying, oh, these students could just do their homework at home, and people were like, these kids don't even have computers. And I remember saying in the chat, computers are $200. Laptops are, you can go get a Chromebook for $150. And people don't even have it. Where can they even find $200 computers? I mean, the streets are running over with used computers all over America, even new computers, tablets, all over the place. But there's a segment of our society that isn't even plugged in there. They're in serious poverty. This isn't me making fun of it. This is me being serious. This is those children go to school to eat. Now, today, I think Glendon was talking about these people don't even have food. And I said, listen, people have rice and beans. They don't want to eat it. Okay? Hear me out. I remember this box we had at the Catholic charities here in Round Rock, had rice and a lot of beans. And people would say, do we have any meat? Do we have any sausages? Do we have any bread? And we go, away, man, we're really sorry. Towards this part of the month, the 21st, we don't have a lot of stuff. We have a lot of rice and beans. Now, again, they would take it. Take the box. Okay, thanks. We'll be back at the end of the month for where the good stuff is here. The good stuff, okay? And I remember talking to somebody on staff, and they go, yeah, we always have a surplus of rice and beans. They just don't want to eat it. Now, I'm not saying you should be forced to eat rice and beans, but I am saying if my child was starving, I'm going to become Chef Boyardee with rice and beans. I'm going to go get some sausage and make red beans and rice. I'm going to go do whatever I need to do to make this beans and rice amazing. So I do feel there's a segment of our society who are struggling. You know what? Unfortunately, I agree with you. Because everybody else is too busy organizing their money. Also, I was going to say 17% out of those numbers I gave y'all earlier, 2.9% earners make $250,000 a year. 17%. This is where a lot of people think they fall in. 17% of earners earn $50,000 to $74,000. Now I'm gonna go to this page. I wrote these notes down because I don't like giving you wrong numbers. Somebody's gonna be in here like, well, she said. And again, you can find this at, I'm gonna put the statista.com. You can find these numbers here. I'm not making this up. You can go find this on your own free time. Again, Matt Porn, you can find it there. And also Financial Samurai. He does great numbers. I love his blog. Okay, so here, if you're ready, here are the article. You can go look this one up for yourself. 3 million is the new 1 million. And I agree. I've been in several meetings. I've been in several events where I said, man, that dude made 3 million? And then that guy act like it's nothing. I've been in several meetings. Okay, so again, top 1%. We're doing it by ages because someone's going to say, well, Erica, we're going to just do it by ages, okay? 42 to 46 years old. 1% is $320,000 a year. 47 to 51 years old, $370,000 a year. 37 to 41, $260,000 a year. 32 to 36 years old, $210,000 a year. 27 to 31 years old, $170,000 a year. Again, this is why you see a lot of engineers, a lot of people who are software and so cybersecurity. Sorry, a lot of people who are in California and New York. If they're in high sales, pharmaceutical sales, if they're in high sales fields, honestly, like I've seen dudes who sell literally washing machines. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's one guy I remember who was in Dubai, and I was like, "What kind of job do you have?" He literally is a salesman for nuts and bolts. I know this sounds crazy, but if I told his name, you'd know who he was. In Dubai, he sells nuts and bolts. He's the biggest salesman. He's just goofy, tall, white guy that went to East Carolina with us, and we're like, "You sell nuts and bolts?" He said, "Think about it. In Dubai and many of these countries in the Middle East, sand is getting in between the machines and tearing up things, and for whatever reason, they run through tons of nuts and bolts and oil related parts. So he makes a lot of good money." But why did I bring that up? One, you need numbers. You need numbers to gauge if you're getting close to your target. And one, you need targets. If you have no target, you're already there. Many people, I'll ask them, "What do you want to do next year?" "I don't know." Well, you're already there because you're going to drift into next year. You're just going to drift. You have to have a goal. Now, you may not hit your goal, but you have to have a goal. Now, prime example, you guys see me work out with my personal trainer. I was out there, I have swim lessons coming up soon with a girl who's an Olympic trainer. I have several other things I have in the calendar to kind of space it out for me to have more recreational time, more relaxation time outside of work. And the funny thing is, I walk by one of my friends, she's like, "Oh, you like losing weight?" I said, "Well, girl, just trying to do a little thing here." It's the niches, it's the inches. You just got to keep going inch by inch. Everything's a cinch kind of mindset. And what a lot of people have to understand is with these numbers, if I say, "Hey man, you're going to make $10,000 next month if you take my YouTube course and you actually follow all the steps and you actually do what I say." Like, I literally have people who fight me in my YouTube course, who fight me in my other courses. I'm like, just do what I say, dude. Just try it. Right? Just try it. There's a lot of people who are in the personal brand space. 10K is not a lot. I kid you not. I know people think I'm just making it up, but 10K is not a lot. And that's kind of a baseline. Once you get to 10K, you're like, I'm comfortable. I can stay at home. I can stay in my hometown. But that's about it, right? I can live in a really nice apartment, nice car, and coast. So again, when you start hearing numbers like 200,000 a year, you're like, "Oh, what does that man do?" There are a lot of careers out there. This is true. I'm not going to talk about stocks here. I actually have a channel where I'm doing an options channel, options challenge for myself. So I know Apple Mac. The sad part is I notice a lot of people try to give pushback on trucking and they're not in trucking. And I go, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" Right? And that's because honestly, a lot of people don't run their business like a business. And this is just the truth. This isn't a slight or smart remark. A lot of people don't run their business like a business. And then when they don't get paid like a business, they're frustrated. And I go, well, you can either, prime example, yesterday's video. If you saw yesterday's video, young man got $2 million. He had to know. And I don't even think he was the one who applied for it. Now, it may come all out in the wash, but I'm pretty sure someone else applied for that for him. He doesn't seem that bright. I'm not insulting him, but I am. He doesn't seem that bright. Someone else had the wow ideal for them to apply for $2 million and they got it. So it'll all come out in the wash, as they say in the South. It'll all come out in the wash. Part of why I'm doing this video, this channel, I'm still pushing the classy climb, is because I understand that we're all on a journey here. There's levels to this, and if I could kind of shorten it up a little, if you just buy every month, right? Like right now, if you got $17,000, about $30,000, you can just about buy a truck. You can buy a mobile home that's in great shape. You can buy several things. You can buy some land. There's a lot of people selling acres of land from $3,000 to $10,000. $3,000 to $15,000, that amount of money is a lot of money. Why do I bring that up? I've been on the phone with people who say, oh man, between us, we make about $20K a month. And I don't know where the money goes. I can tell you where the money goes. It goes to lifestyle. It goes to your house. It goes to your cars. It goes to your eating out. It doesn't, if you focus and say what you will about dating, but a lot of people get real focused. 20K is enough to free you in probably about 5 months. Even if you don't use the whole, if you just save 10K this month, 10K the next month, or over the next 3 months, you save 20K, let's just make it even or something like that. And you take that money and you start purchasing land, right? I just saw a place where it was 3 acres. The guy's just trying to get rid of it. He don't want to live there. You think it's in the middle of nowhere, but once you put something on it, you build it, they will come kind of thing. You got 3 acres and you put 7 to 15 trailers out there, they will come. And a lot of people just don't understand the math of it, right? Even with trucking, right? There's trucks I saw for 17K. And this guys were like, yeah, but you got to always have money for repairs. Yes, it's not an ATM. It's a tool. It pulls things. Yes. You have to have math. You have to understand math. You have to say, I'm only going to pay to drive this many miles, $1 per mile. And what I realized is people fight you on that because they don't understand math, right? It's a status thing. So AD, honey, I'm so sorry that you believe that, but poor people in New Jersey aren't in New Jersey. They're either in Florida hanging out or they're in some other state. Again, you saw how many New Yorkers escaped when they started to lock down New York. There were thousands upon thousands of New Yorkers flooding the highways, getting out of New York. Those are the people who have money and were like, you know what? I don't want to be in New York on a lockdown. I'm gone. I'm going to go to Florida. I'm going to go to North Carolina. I'm going to go to the beaches. It does matter. Money does matter, honey. I'm sorry. We'll see. We'll see. White Claw. Football does carry schools' budgets. Exactly. One thing that I learned, some people close to you want to see you successful, but only to a point. This is where people can grasp, right? Like DJ Crime, I'm just going to read your name. If you tell your family, man, I have this great idea and I'm going to do this, this, and this, they're like, yeah, that's great. But then next year you come and you 10x that. And they're resistant because they can't grasp it. When I visited my family this weekend, I was telling them about my Texas Ground Zero and 2 or 3 other projects I'm almost in the process of finishing and getting. They were like, oh man, don't forget about us. Now, have I forgotten about them? No. Have they called me while I lived out in Texas? No. But it is a mindset of being left behind. It is a mindset of they can't grasp that math, right? I remember telling somebody one month I made 50K and I had to spend all of it to pay something off. And they were like, oh my God. They were almost sick to their stomach. And I go, that's just the cost of doing business. It's a little bit over leveraged, but it's the cost of doing business. Because as this corona thing happened, there's a tightening in the air. And again, people with cash, okay. People who have businesses, okay. People who can produce income, okay. Again, I literally am bringing somebody on e-commerce Saturday in the Rise of 20% class because I know 3 or 4 people that just created multiple Shopify sites. They just started creating brands because they knew people were doing what? They were home, they were shopping. It was a great time ever. Terry's class is amazing. Yes, they will be. Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, for sure. SEC fans and University of Georgia, I mean, they're going to be down there. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. There's a website for football players, and our cousin was on it. Several of our cousins, 2 of them were. And you basically took a picture in your blazer and your pants, and you held a football or a basketball or a bat, and it was like cheesy almost. And then your resume was to the right of it. Business owners who are diehard football fans go on this website, and I know I'm not giving the name of the website because you can't log in to see it anyway. You have to have a login code. They go on this website, they see these guys from their, they watch sports all the time all fall, and they're like, yes, yes, I'm going to hire that kid and give that kid a chance. Now, many young men say, well, I know people who went to school for sports and they didn't do. Who were they connected to? What organizations did they join? Where did they participate? Did they join alumni chapter? These are questions that are they're classic. They're kind of classism in nature, but they're important for you guys to understand. This is part of what I've been kind of digressing to you guys, right? How was I able to, and this is for conversation, data judge and data engineer and data lawyer before that, because of the circles I run around, because of the events I go to, because of the associations I go through, right? I've always got somebody who's like, hey, I got a friend I want to recommend you, and I'm like, thanks, but it's better to be the person that they want to recommend and not recommend, I assure you. But that'll be. Thank you. Listen, Ryan, thank you. Football will start on time. They will have record numbers. They will have record number commercials. Trust me. Again, when you start seeing all these TV shows like 911 have movie stars in every position, it's because the movie stars can't get movie roles, but they can get TV roles. Blind guy, his wife, their life. Wow. I've been actionable on your recommendations for 1 year now. Bought courses, have new investments, started a new YouTube channel, got in the room with you at Charm City Buyers event. Hey, no regrets, none expected. Thanks, Erica. Hey, thank you so much for the $20 Super Chat. Definitely want to check out your YouTube channel. You guys check out their YouTube channel. Andre Harris, that's all I would eat growing up. It's hard to eat now. I believe you. But if you were starving, you would eat it. I used to teach those kids in DC in early 2000s, the ones who came to school for food. Literally would give my Head Start kids baths and wash their uniforms. Yeah. There's a level of people having babies who shouldn't be having babies, and we're not going to get in that discussion, but I was talking with my mom and I said, what makes me sad is I can see in the next 2-3 years, what you're going to see is the biggest gap between children and education that you'll ever see. You're going to see the parents who weren't making sure little Jerome, little whoever, little Julio, little, young Sung, whoever was actually studying and doing his homework and actually keeping up with the class. Because what's going to happen in this fall, they're literally going to pass every single child. They're not going to hold any children back. All the kids that were seniors are going to legally graduate. 2020 is one of those years. Now, what I see happening, and I have numbers I think are going to back me up on this, is you're going to have a whole pot of women who are like, the schools are dirty. I can't send him back to school. I'm just going to keep him here and I'm going to learn how to teach him. I see my friends do it. I can do it too. You're going to have a whole group of women who can't go back to work, right? There's no work for them. And so I'm not being ugly, but in their relationship dynamic, they're going to have to show, look, I'm doing something every day. Look, I'm trying to teach these kids. I need to be here. I remember having a friend and her husband made plenty of money. And the kids were 8 and 8 and up. 8, 12, 15. And he was like, okay, well, it's about time for you to go back to work. Don't you think? You're an engineer too. Why not go back to work? And she looked at him like he was crazy. She'd been home all these years. Why would she want to go get recertified and go back and be an engineer? But see, that's the difference. She didn't realize her man wasn't on board with that plan forever. He just wasn't. But yeah, there's a level of kids that will return to. I'm going to say this. I was driving in Fayetteville, and you guys know there's parts of Fayetteville that are hood. And we drove by a daycare, and the kids were outside playing, and it was just 5 kids. It was one little Hispanic kid, one little white kid, and 3 black kids, and one daycare worker outside watching them play. And I just felt, and for one, it was a little breezy. They all had jackets on though. And I was like, what job is their mother doing that is pays so much that these kids are at daycare right now? In the middle of, yes, North Carolina just opened back up, but in the middle of North Carolina just opening up officially Friday. That on a Friday. Well, it was actually Saturday. And Monday I saw them. I saw the same kids on Monday and Saturday as we went to the funeral. But what jobs do they have that Saturday and Monday and Tuesday when I drove by there? Those kids were playing outside. The same kids, y'all. Those women better have expensive jobs that are paying them. They better be nurses. And I know that daycare location, they ain't nurses, but you're going to see a big gap. And what you're going to see is moms figuring out how to bridge the gap for their kid. That's what you're going to see. The ones who care. It may be. You know, Smokehouse, here's the thing that blew my mind. One time a family pulled up and they were all obese. Let's just be honest. Not one of them was less than 300 pounds. Not one. And the mom got out the car and we had the box and we're like, hey, we'll put it in your trunk of your car. And in the trunk of the car was other groceries. Okay, so somebody had some money somewhere. And so we put the box in there. She's like, oh, that's all y'all got? Man, y'all got any fruits? Y'all got any cakes? I said, we got a bag of pears. Oh, we don't like pears. And I looked at this family. I want to say, first of all, I don't think y'all even need this food. Second of all, who don't like pears, right? I mean, that's just me. I'm like, who don't like pears? But yeah, it was interesting just the reactions of the people. There actually is a database system right now in our society that churches use to see if someone's milking the church system. Because again, the churches in America are the biggest providers of, and I know people are going to argue with me on this because they go to hood poverty churches. Churches are the biggest provider in the United States of medical care and people who pay medical bills and also food donations. You can go look this up. This is not me making this up. This is an actual stat every single year. You can go Google it. They do article after article on this. And unfortunately, one of the ones that people will fuss about is Catholic churches. The place I'm talking about is a Catholic charity, just filled to the brims in the back rooms with food. We're just giving food out all day. Full of food. So yeah, you'd be amazed at how they would react. But there is a database system to make sure people aren't milking the system. Exactly. Brian Gibson, there's no better time than today. Everything you guys tell me, I'm going today. Every single thing today. This confirms what I've been saying for 10 years. What is the magic number to get out of the matrix and not take a tax beating? No one knew. Tonight, I know for sure it's $10 million. I'm going to say 3 to 5 million. Because here's the thing. When you see the stat that, yeah, every day millionaires are made, what you're seeing is the stat of people who lose their millionaire status and go back up. Lose it, go back up. Lose it, go back up. And yes, there's some new ones. But a lot of it is people doing this, right? Because the taxes are heavy. Now, I'm going to give you this little tip. People in trucking know this is true. Now I understand, and I know it's true, and I understand why they do it. I kept seeing 90% of all trucking companies had 6 trucks or less. I thought, this is crazy. Look at all these small carriers. Because a 6 truck company can make the person about 1.5 mil. Well, it's not just that. It's the taxes. They save a ton of money on taxes and insurance by having 6 trucks or less. How do I know that? I'm a person with 12 trucks. And the insurance is outrageous. The tax is outrageous. Even in the structure form I'm doing it is outrageous. And now I see, I'm like, oh, that's why people break it up. That's why people break it up and put it in 6 or less. I saw O'Shea's channel and I was laughing about the woman whose sugar daddy, we'll just say that, is a Nigerian who owns a trucking company and some other stuff, and came over on a private plane and spent $300,000 for her to get this Bentley truck. And I go, he didn't even care. Because in other countries, it's very disciplined. They're very disciplined about money. They're very serious about buying assets. The more people I talk to about trailers and land in Texas, people are like, what money can I make off it right now? See, people have the mindset of something being an ATM. And this is part of why this year, more than ever, I'll never do another group investment, but I'll do, one-off partnerships, one-off JV deals kind of thing, because you have to really vet people to see if they understand the concept. Do you understand the concept that this pays this amount of money, this amount of money, this does this? And not everybody does. People think it's an ATM, like, well, it made some money, give me some money, And that's why a lot of people aren't business minded. Oh, Neil Harris, that's an interesting number. I can believe it. Depending on what part of California you live in. I remember talking to some people who lived in Oakland, but took the transit you guys have out there to where Facebook was. And he's like, oh yeah, we commute like 2.5 to 3 hours plus a day. And I'm like, he's like, it's that or go there and pay half your salary in housing. And I was like, oof, that's terrible. I hope they're getting a breakout in California by not having to commute and working from home. Oh yeah, I believe it. Yes. Appliances are one of those tricky things, right? Because right now, prime example, Appliance Warehouse. Go look this company up on your own time. There's two big companies. When you go to the website, it's a button off to the right. You can click it. People will rent a washer and dryer, a brand new one. That's like, if you go get them both, it's about, like, the ones I'm seeing are like $400. Very basic, but $400. So about $800, right? Washer and dryer combo. People will rent those for a year for $50 to $80 a month. By the time you do the math on that, you paid for that washer and dryer. Now imagine that person renting an apartment for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They've paid for it 3, 4, 5 times over. Just telling you. But yeah, he makes that because I can tell you right now, Sears, if you go look this up you can look this up for yourself. Don't have to believe Erica Williams. Sears bought over 250 different appliance repair locations. So I remember talking to somebody from Sears and I was like, oh man, are you sad about losing your job? And she said, oh honey, I didn't lose my job. Sears didn't go nowhere. We own 250 appliance companies. Now everybody at the Sears phone headquarters, where they wear the phone center, are just operating under all the different companies that fix appliances. So again, it's one of those things. There you go. Oh, it was. You already know. Like, of course. I mean, like, this will all come out in the wash. Oh, for sure. Yes, that's the way to do it. This is true. Lifestyle creep is a real thing. I see what you're saying. You're doing it over a 50-year period. 200,000 times 50 years. Yeah. And again, let's just do simple math. Let's say a person makes 30K a year, which is 75 million Americans do. And they make that for 10 years. That's $300,000. My friend who's an engineer, but they start out low. They start at $95,000 a year, entry level. And yes, you can start a little lower entry level as well. But $95,000 a year times 10 years. Now, we already know they're going to get bumps up in pay, but we're going to keep it for 95 just for sake of argument. 95,000 times 10 years is $950,000. That person has a whole almost $600,000 more spending power over the course of the past 10 years than the other person. This is why when people say, oh, it doesn't matter what job you have, Erica, you can always save money. This is true. You can. But your 10 years is going to be like 20 years of saving. The person just making more money is going to do what? Make more money. Something I think Kevin said that was really great. Kevin Samuels was saying, these guys, you know, guys don't care about what you make because they know they're going to get married to you in about a year. You're going to have a kid and not work for a while. So your income really isn't going to count. And what's funny is I've had tons of phone calls where men are like, I really didn't expect my wife not to work. I go, how? She's pregnant. How did you not count for that? But people really do, in their mind, be counting both people's budgets. Can't do it. You really can't do it. So that's right, David Murray. Oh, honey, those New Yorkers are down. Here's the thing. The governor locks down the state, London Thomas, and sent his whole family to Florida. This whole time, his family's been in Florida living their best life. That's why when people sit here and fuss with me about, oh, I'm from New York or I'm from this where, I'm like, honey, people that got money, they done left. They ain't there. Listen, California, right now, they having the most flights out of California go where? Florida. Don't believe me? Go Google. A lot of people leaving California and going to Florida. So as much as we want to talk smack about Florida, they're vacationing there. They're enjoying themselves. Oh, yeah. I mean, we had to shut down islands in North Carolina because people came from New York sick and thought they were I'm just going to go quarantine. Dude passes out in his house. They take him to the hospital there and realize he's been walking all over the island with COVID. So there you go. That's right, Britt. um, Listen, that's a good book. Why She Buys is a great book. If you understand why a woman buys the items she buys for her house, one, she buys items to stay physically attractive to her spouse. Two, she buys items so she feels like her kids will get a leg up. Three, it's a competitive mindset. The Ring doorbell took off not because people were worried about people stealing packages. That was a big component of it, but because all their friends did it. And oh, girl, you can check on your kids and see when your kids get home from school with the Ring doorbell. Trust. Honey, there's been so many people who had the bankruptcy that you could tell that. And again, it's here's what I try to get people to understand. And whenever I make money here off YouTube, I immediately take that money and go put it in something. So people will be like, well, hey man, you got it, just give it, just pay this or do that. And I go, listen, no, I don't have it like that. The money I immediately make off YouTube, I take it and put it to work immediately. Now, you should have some more money for liquid and reserves, and that's what I'm learning for 2020 is definitely have more reserves. But at the end of the day, this technique has worked for me. Every time I get a little lump sum, I go, what asset can I buy? Can I go buy that trailer? Can I go buy that tiny house? Oh, that's 29,000. Let's try to get that. Is that 10,000? Let's get it. But we'll talk about that another day. Ebony Eyes, that's a whole nother show for a whole nother day, man. That's a whole nother show. A lot of the homeless people I noticed they were put in hotels. Yes, this is accurate. Because here's the thing: if you're a man, and I'm be, I'm being stereotypical, but if you're a man in your 30s, let's say you're 37, and you say, I want to go to medical school, you can do it. You can do it. The time constraints aren't there like it is for women. If you're a man and you're 42 and you want to I want to do a new career, I want to be in cybersecurity, you can do it. The time constraints aren't there like they are for women. Now, people may fight me on this, but they know. There's a whole batch of, black women 37 to 40 42, 43 having babies. And this isn't me making this up. This is literally stats. And this is a big thing on YouTube. Go look this up. It cracks me up. Because, it's that last ditch effort. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be nice as possible, but there's a window there of like, even in the the middle class, where people say, oh, the great age to get married is 23. Well, if you actually look at the numbers right now are 27 to 32. There's a big batch of people, 27, 32, that get married in that range and have kids, right? Those are people who are professionals. Those are people who have careers. Now, let me be careful. There's going to be a bunch of people like, I had my baby at 18 and I got a career. Yeah, but you got a career afterwards. You got a career because you had to. You got a career out of forced choice. There's a levels to this, right? This is very true. Oh yeah, North Carolina. If you actually go look up North Carolina, it is the number one state that has the same amount of homeschool as they have private school, and private schools are everywhere in North Carolina, and so it's like the equal trifecta. Art of becoming more. Oh yeah, they counsel them. You know why? Because they know they wouldn't pass them. Yeah, Jessica, I've been saying this for about 2 years now, and you can go back and watch the channel where I've said, listen, I read the book Frugal Woods, I read Demographic Shift, I read Upside, I read all these books, and I was like, this isn't a coincidence. These moms coming up with products and Shopify things and stuff. Listen, the woman who married Prince William, the only reason she is married to Prince William is because her mother, about 40 years ago, now at this point, 35 years ago, started a little thing for kids, little books, little resources, little notebooks, and sold them, basically Baby Einstein, but the UK version, and became multi millionaires. Now I don't mean like 5 mil, I don't mean 10 million, I mean 200 million, $300 million. Crazy money, which made her take her daughters and elevate them to where? Schools where the royals went, schools where the high income people went. Now, in that proximity, daughter dated for 10 years Prince William. That's a long time. Like my mom said, ain't nobody dates for 10 years, but they did. Got married. Her daughter, her second daughter, that is a very attractive woman, is married to, she was like 29, she married a 45-year-old dude who was like a descendant of some royals. Proximity matters. If you have your kids in homeschool, where you put them for alumni and associated events and schools and after school programs will matter. It matters. So, oh, honey, yes. Pears are delicious, y'all. Stop playing with pears. Yes, pimp churches are getting the PPE. I mean, it is. Honey, honey. There's all kind of thoughts that run through my mind, but my obligation is to keep the investment club sterling impeccably great for the investors, and then whatever side parts I want to do, I do on my own separately. Um, there's a lot of thoughts I have on that. They do. They do. It's just, and it's like this. It's like if you have several little things paying you all month, no stress, no stress, right? It's coming, right? Like I know my Google AdSense coming towards the end of the month. I know my Kindle book sales. I know my Amazon sales are coming later in the month. I know this is coming later in the month. It's just like every day. I want to argue with it, but I'm not. Yes, listen, it's called Appliance Warehouse. Go look it up. That's one of the biggest country appliance ones in the nation. There's several other people in Texas who started ones. Like there's a guy I know who's 35. He has over 107 washer and dryers. And he's just been making money. He just usually they'll see him in one complex and he'll just make more money. I mean, trust me, do 107 washer and dryers times $80 a month. Or even do it times $50 a month. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's right. Exactly. Walgreens invested in dialysis. I have some tech videos I have coming up soon with Chris and Kamoy, and I'm telling you, even tech has been continued to hiring. Honey, that's sad. That's all I'm gonna say, Jessica. I've seen it. Now, Thomas, good luck. I'm gonna leave it alone because now you're putting emotions in a legacy thing. Does that make sense? You're putting emotions into, well, I physically work very hard, so she should physically work very hard. She should also have pain. That doesn't equate. I mean, if you go watch the beginning of the channel, lots of studies show the more women work, the longer they work, their testosterone goes up, risk of heart attack, strokes go up, weight increase, cortisol levels are high. It's not healthy. It just isn't. I know people, I remember my friend was talking about he was cleaning up in the house or something outside. He was cutting the grass or something. He came inside and his wife was just sitting down watching TV. He's like, well, you should be doing work too. And she said, just because you're working doesn't mean I should be working. And I know that will go over many people's head. But again, that's like two children saying, because you have a toy, I have a toy. It doesn't work like that. That's not how that works. Have a good night. Process for profits. Honey, that sounds like a stroke. Oh, that's right. That supermodel. She did have a kid at 50. I remember I was in a CDL, and a guy was 60. I think he just still got his class 8. Oh, I could listen. One of my drivers is 63 years old. Cybersecurity will stay in high demand, Jessica, because the fact remains that cybersecurity is what we'll all need. I mean, pretty much every single bank, every single college, every single place that you take someone's social security number, you need to have security over it. You guys are wow. Ah, there you go. I mean, it's just true. It's just, anytime I hear someone say that, I get far away. Like anybody I've dated, and just being honest, like, I make good money, y'all. This is not a secret thing. I remember when the guy said, well, I'll still pay the mortgage and you can pay other bills. He still was very traditional in his mind. He was just like, I don't care. You make all this money. I was like, but I want a modern farmhouse. Are you sure? Um, trust me. I mean, even in what you're saying right now, I'm reading it. There's been this push of women teachers, women coaches. There's that whole push of men coaches, pushing people to be more, again, like I said in the beginning of the show, people want to be needed, heard, and loved. And as you kind of flow into where you need to be, the opposite magnet comes along. So that's as nice as I can say it. But again, I want you guys to really understand the math and understand where I'm going to. And part of why I'll be talking a little bit about government contracting this year, because as you see the government kind of overstepping and putting a lot of money, like, oh, the government's going to come do all these things. Trust me. I mean, just now, I talked about it yesterday, about $86 million they gave out without good vetting. There's a ton of money in government contracts. I actually have someone on staff doing it, because my ultimate goal this year is to vacation quite often. Like, I know everybody's like, oh, Erica, you gonna travel? Yes, I'm gonna vacation quite often, because there's staff you can hire for these things, just about everything you think of. And the level of, right now, I know another YouTuber who has like 15 people on staff at his office, and it makes sense, because now if you see him, he just does his day. Everybody else is marketing, advertising, packing boxes, doing all that stuff, and he just does his day. And that is my goal, baby. If I gotta buy 4 or 5 little trailer parks, if I gotta buy here, that, and that, that's what will happen. So Apple Mac is funny. Yeah, I didn't use that word. I just shared her post. But I hope you guys have a great night. I hope this was beneficial. I hope you got understanding what the real numbers was, and what's 1%. And really, you got to adjust the expectations. Women have been heading to the house. Anytime you have a strong push to the left, you're going to have a strong push to the right. Right? I'm being careful here. And I know people are sensitive about their ages, but Gen X women, and again, Gen X women are, at this point, what are they? 39 to 51? What 39 to 49? One of those two. I think it's 39 to 49. That Gen X generation, men and women, whew, like they did all the crazy, right? They did all the crazy. They did all the, like, I can do all the work, I can do all this, I can have kids work and do all this, and like they're having strokes and heart attacks, and cut it out. Have some balance, right? All people, when they see me, they think, man, Erica, you're such a hustler, go get her. I'm like, I really am not. I'm really on my way finding a number to go out the door so I can be at home more with my little kiddos. I don't have any kiddos yet, but when I get them, and when I might adopt an extra one or two, I'm setting up all this for that. And I get it. Do you know what I mean? So, art of becoming more. Listen, there are several men who I've run across. That's all they're doing. Contracting. They're just, again, for those of you in the Rise to 20% class, I'll do a whole class on just like the roadmap to 4 million, because I remember talking to somebody and they're like, you're doing all this work, you might as well change your number. Instead of aiming for 1 million, aim for 4 million. And it started to make more and more sense the more I heard it, because really, every person on staff that works for you, how much can they produce for you? How much can they make for you? You got to do the numbers. What's up, Ebony Eyes? Gen X, yeah. I mean, there's just a lot that was learned from Gen X. And again, let's be clear. Gen X had great music, period. Had the great black music, and they had the great white music. Lilith Fair. What's her name? Building a Mystery. Michelle, whatever her name was. They had great music. But they also had a lot of drama. So I'm going to wrap this up. It's late tonight. I'm going to finish steaming my face and go lay down and go to sleep. I think you guys understand what I'm saying in this video. It's a little long, but I hope it, Dave Matthews, man. Yeah. I think you understand what I'm trying to say, that you guys have to have a number. You have to have a number you're aiming for, because if you don't, you'll just drift. And with the way this economy is, you cannot do that. You cannot just drift. You have to have a destination you're aiming for. And if you know your numbers, and especially if you're a woman, and hey girl, I'm struggling to make more than 40, 50K a year, what number do you need? What type of man will you fit well with to balance yourself out? So I hope you guys have a good night. No, I'm not smoking. This is it, just a steamer. Absolute just steam. So gotta have a plan, y'all. I hope you have an amazing night. That's right. Relax, relate, release. Have a good night, you guys.